best way to approach a project is to break it up into stages where possible. We will now look at what takes place in the managing a stage boundary process. At the end of each stage within a project, it's important to come together and take a snapshot or look at where the project is in terms of the business case, the project plan, and project performance targets. Managing a stage boundary provides a bit of glue between stages and acts as a transition from one stage to another. The managing a stage boundary process has a number of objectives, which are listed here. It provides a mechanism to assess the completeness of the current stage. So we can ask questions such as, have we done what we set out to do in this current stage? Is the project still viable, and is it still worthwhile continuing with this project? We need to ask ourselves some questions about where we are at and where we are headed. Not only do we need to look at what we have done and is the project still viable, we need to plan what is going to be done in the next stage. There is a lot of planning work involved, but if we don't plan, we plan to fail. Planning for the next stage is necessary before requesting authorization from the project board to proceed to the next stage. Here is a summary of the activities that must be carried out during the managing a stage boundary process. We must plan the next stage, produce an exception plan if necessary, update the project plan, update the business case, and then report the end of the stage. An exception plan is a plan that replaces the current plan if a project has some issues or problems and then exceeds or is expected to exceed a tolerance. If this is the case, it must be reported to the project board, who then decides on the follow-up actions. If the current plan can no longer be continued with, a new plan needs to be created to reflect the new project scenario. This replacement plan is called an exception plan. An exception plan can be created to replace a project plan and/or a stage plan. As shown here, there are two paths that can be taken with the activities of managing a stage boundary. One path is with the stage boundary approaching and the next stage is planned. The other path is via an exception plan request because something has not gone according to plan and an exception plan is produced. The activities to follow remain the same, that is, to update the project plan, update the business case, and report the end of the stage. The key outputs for this process are a stage or exception plan, an updated project plan, an updated business case, and an end stage report. Here is an example of what should be included in a stage plan. It's not too different from the project plan, but still needs to be provided for each stage of a project. Here is an example of what should be included in an end stage report. This report is required as it presents the stage's performance against its agreed baselines and summarizes the overall project position. It is prepared by the project manager. In summary, the managing a stage boundary process gives the project board the information it needs to decide whether or not to approve progressing to the next stage or the adoption of an exception plan. There are a number of activities that must be carried out in this process which result in several key management products being produced. Some examples include a stage or exception plan, an updated project plan and business case, a lessons report if appropriate, and an end stage report. The final step in this process is a request to approve either the next stage plan for the next stage or an exception plan.